If you're looking to buy an expedition touring bike but you're on a budget, this is the video for you.
This bicycle will be able to take you around the world for many years, off-road and in-road, and it will do the same job as a few €1,000 of expedition bicycles which are available nowadays in the market.
The total price for this bike, including wheel building, will be somewhere around €850. But if that still sounds like a lot, stay tuned until the end and we tell you how you can cut the price to under €600, which is a very good price for this bike. Also, we want to mention this video is not sponsored by any of the brands we mentioned in this video.
This bike is built around the old retro mountain bike frame. We have cycled with a similar kind of frame. Also, Ganubi and Anya from Two Bike One Word have cycled from Germany to Thailand with a very similar setup. Link to their Instagram is in the description below.
We think it's a really good idea to build your own bike because then you know exactly which components you have, what tools you need and how to fix it if it breaks down or wears out.
We chose the components with a philosophy of simplicity, being strong, easy to fix and spare part available worldwide.
So let's start with the first component, which is the frame.
Frame is the most important part of your bicycle. I call it's the soul of any bicycle. Brand new touring bike frames are pretty expensive nowadays, but you can get one of these old mountain bikes for around $100 and give a new life to their frame, and you also will save some resources, which is great. Those old retro mountain bike frames are actually pretty durable. There's some brands which we are mentioning those here. They have made a really solid frame in late 70s, 80s and 90s. We can use those now to build our touring bicycle. Actually, this bike is just an example of an old mountain bike. We could find it here in Gambia, so we do not recommend using this frame for building your touring bicycle. The reason we chose these frames are they are compatible with 26-inch wheels, they have a rim brake, they are made out of steel, which is a great choice for touring because it's durable and if in case something happens, you always can weld it. 26-inch wheels have a shorter spokes compared to the bigger wheels, so this makes them a really good and a solid choice for a heavily loaded touring bikes. But there's a few things when you're choosing your bicycle you need to pay attention to. First of all, you need the right size frame. When you stand on top of your bicycle, in a way which your heels is touching the ground and the ground is flat, there needs to be at least this much distance between your top tube and your body. We really highly recommend you to go and study about the bicycle feet and a frame feet and choose the right size. We found a pretty useful article about the bicycle feet from Ergotech, which we do link it in the description below. One of the differences between the modern touring bike frame and these old mountain bike frame is the inner length of a chainstay. New bike frame, they do have a little bit longer chainstay, so if you have a really big feet, when you are pedaling, your heel doesn't hit to the pannier. If you have a really big feet, try to push your pannier as far as back you can, so your heels won't touch the pannier, hopefully. Also, you want to make sure your frame is made out of chromoly steel. It's usually written on your down tube. Next thing, you need to make sure your frame is healthy and is in a good condition. This means it's not rusty and it did not have any accident. Check your derailleur hanger properly and make sure your derailleur hanger is straight and it's not bended. Also, you need to pay attention, your rear dropout plates, they do have enough profile. Some of the old mountain bikes dropout plates are really thin. You don't want that. The next thing you check is your fork and you make sure your fork is a simple fork without suspension. Check your fork and frame and make sure they are compatible with at least 2-inch wide tires, which most of the old mountain bike frames are compatible, as far as I know. And after that you check you do have at least one brace-on in your fork and at least one brace-on in your rear dropout. If your front fork has a brace-on in the middle of the fork, that is really great, but it is pretty rare in old mountain bike frames. Another important brace-on you do need to have is on your seat stay. You need these brace-on in order to put your rear rack. Also, you do need a brace-on on your down tube and on your seat post tube for your water bottles. But if your frame doesn't have these brace on, it's not a big deal because you can use a clamp to install your water bottle cage and problem solved. Once you chose your frame, you need to disassemble all the parts from your frame and then put a frame saver in your frame few times. An important tip about putting the frame saver: avoid the frame saver getting into your bottom bracket threads and in your head tube.
It's really important to have strong wheels on your touring bike, and that's why we recommend to build basically the same wheels as we have. So for the front wheels, you would need the Ride or Rüde Andra 30 rim, DT Swiss Alpine 3 spokes. You need 260mm ones for the front wheel, Sapim 14mm brass nipples, and the Shimano Deore hub with cup and cone bearings. These Rüde Andra rims are very durable and have been proving themselves for years. Of course, you need to remember to get yours with the rim brake surface, and if you can find rims with CSS surface, that's even better. Ours are still not showing anywhere after 2 years of cycling. We chose the Sapim brass nipples over the DT nipples because the Sapim nipples have a really great design, so they sit well in the rim, and when you tighten them, there's less chance to round the nipple. The Shimano Deore front hub is reliable, and thanks to the cup and cone bearings, it's also serviceable. We recommend servicing your hubs each 2000 kilometers. On a touring bike, you really want the wheels to be as strong as possible, and that's why we recommend to build 36 spoke wheels. So you need 36 hole hubs and 36 hole rims. The rear wheel will be almost the same as the front, with a few differences. The first and most obvious one is that you need a rear hub. If you're able to find Shimano LX hubs, you can get those for both the rear and the front. But if you don't, then you can go with a Shimano Deore rear hub. One reason that we recommend the Deore and the LX hubs is that they have steel-free hubs, unlike, for example, the Shimano XT that has an aluminium-free hub that's less durable than the steel-free hubs. Another great thing about the LX and the Deore free hubs is that they are compatible with 8, 9 and 10 speed cassettes. The LX actually even with 11 speed cassettes, so in case you have to change your setup, that won't be a problem. Another difference from your front wheel is that on your rear wheel you need 257mm spokes on your drive side and 259mm spokes on your non-drive side. The drive side spokes are shorter because they sit on a steeper angle to make room for the cassette.
Now you got your wheels ready, next thing you need is a 19mm Schwalbe rim tape. And as a tube, you can get a Schwalbe tubes. When it comes to the tire, we chose Schwalbe Marathon Plus Tour tire. These tires are really durable. We've been using them for the last 2 years and no problem with them. But it is very important to keep the air pressure in the highest level recommended on the tire. If the air pressure is low, your rim will cut the tire from here. We do recommend to get a 2-inch tire. It is a really good tire for going off-road, in-road, all around. But before ordering it, double check and make sure it will fit your frame and fork, which is most likely to fit. For the drivetrain, we chose to go with the Shimano Acera crankset. This crankset has a chain rings made out of steel, and also it is compatible with the square taper bottom bracket, which is widely available all around the world. This means by any reason, if you do need a new crankset, you do not need to change your bottom bracket. This crankset will cost you around 25 euro, which is much cheaper if you compare with the XT crankset, which has a price tag of 140 euro. This is a little bit heavier than XT, but because of steel chainring, it will last you much longer than XT. Unlike the other cheap cranksets, with this one you can change the chainrings. There's a bolts here. We would recommend to get a 22, 32 and 42 teeth. You can get a Shimano Alivio cassette. It's also made out of steel and it is inexpensive. We have compared the Alivio cassette to an XT cassette on our world tour and we found out Alivio lasts better than XT. You can get an 11 to 32 teeth version of this. As a chain, you can get a KMC X9 chain with a reusable chain link. Or if you select any other chain, make sure it has a reusable chain link. This will come very handy for you. As a rear derailleur, you can go with the Shimano Deore 9-speed rear derailleur, and as a front derailleur, also you can go with the Shimano Deore 9-speed one. Front derailleur, they come as a low clamp or a high clamp. Please pay attention to get the one which will fit your frame. You might be wondering about the compatibility of an 8-speed crankset and a 9-speed chain and cassette. Don't worry about that, they will work perfectly. As a bottom bracket, we chose a Shimano UN55 bottom bracket. But before ordering it, make sure you check the length of your bottom bracket shell and the threading. But it is most likely to be 68 millimeter and English threading. Also, because of your crankset, the spindle length of your bottom bracket is 122.5 millimeter. As a pedal, we decided to go with the MKS Touring Sullivan pedals. They are a really good value for the money, and they come with a serviceable cup and comb bearing. You're gonna love the shifters. Shifters are a friction down tube shifters from late 70s and 80s from a French brand called Huret. My French is not that good, I'm sorry for that. The reason we chose these shifters, they are just durable. They are made out of only metal. I think they can stop working if you really hammer them hard. Also, these are compatible with any number of gear you might have in your cassette or in your crank. When you want to install them, if the clamp fits your down tube and you want to have them in a down tube, fantastic, you're good to go, you put them there. But if you want to put them on your handlebar, then you need to order 2 sets of them. From one of them, you take off the right shifter, and from another one, you take off the left shifter. Then you will end up with a right and left shifter on the clamp, which you can put on your handlebar and you're good to go. You might need to do a little bit of artwork here. There's a chance this clamp might be too big for your handlebar. Then you do need a kind of spacer over there. I would recommend to get an aluminum horn like this and cut this part of it and then file it till perfectly it is round. Then after that you can use that one as a spacer or shim or whatever it's called, I'm not sure about that. Another good point here is you have ended up with the 1 set of spare shifters. So if you end up hammering your shifters, you have a spare one. You need to remember to cut off this stopper so your shifter will turn enough and have enough pull.
These old mountain bikes have threaded forks, which means you need a threaded headset, and the one we would recommend is Ritchie Logic. And to go with your threaded headset, you need what's called a quill stem, and we would actually recommend you start out by trying the stem that came with your bicycle. The stem is a very individual component, and what fits you depends on your body type and on which riding position you prefer. We would once again encourage you to read the Ergotech article about bike fit that we have linked in the description. If you find you will need a new stem, you can try to borrow one of these adjustable stems to figure out which stem would suit you. We wouldn't recommend to cycle with an adjustable stem because, especially if you're going to put the weight of a handlebar bag on it, it might not last as long as a normal stem. If your stem has only 1 bolt for the handlebar clamp, like this one, or if you need to get another stem for another reason, we would recommend to look for one with at least 2 bolts and check out the brand Ergotech. When you're ordering your headset and your stem, make sure to check your frame and get the right size. There's not much that can go wrong with the handlebar, so we recommend just going with the one that came with your bike. It's also likely that the handlebar comes with horns, which is great because it gives you more options for positions when riding. And if it didn't, you can find them secondhand very cheap. And for the brakes, we would go with Shimano Deore rim brakes and levers. Rim brakes are really great because spare parts are available all around the world and they are easy to service. We have been cycling with rim brakes for 2 years and we'd never had an issue with braking power or anything else. We would really recommend to get a mirror, for example the same one as we use, which is from Bush & Miller. Apart from the frame and the stem, another component that's really important for your comfort is your seat post. The seat post can be built in a way that the saddle sits right above it or a little bit backward, and that depends on how long your leg is. So you need to get on your bike and measure it again. Check out the Ergotech article in the description. If the seat post that came with your bike fits you, and if it's a 2-bolt seat post, you can go with that one. If not, you can find another seat post from Ergotech. If you order a new seat post, make sure to check the seat post size that fits your frame and order a safety level 6 from Ergotech. Another super individual component is the saddle, so it's impossible for us to recommend one, but you can start out by trying the one that came with your bike or one that you have on another bicycle. At the end of the day, you just need to try until you find one that fits you. But here are a few brands you can check out.
For the rear rack, we chose to go with the Tubus Cargo Classic rear rack. I have been using the Tubus racks now for years and I never had a problem, and they come with a 5 years warranty. And for the front rack, we chose the Tubus Tara model. But in order to install the front rack, you do need a brazen in the middle of your fork, but there is a big chance you don't have that. But you can order a Tubus LM1 clamp and that will solve this issue, and it's working really well. When you are installing your racks, make sure to use a good quality steel bolts. As a bottle holder, we do recommend to get a SGS XL bottle holder. They are pretty cheap and they're very durable. We've been using them for the last 2 years and they've been working really well. They do fit these Nalgene bottles with a little bit of adjustment. Also these 2-liter Coke bottles with no problem. But there's one thing you need to do. They come with a rubber band, which is pretty useless. You need to take that rubber band off and put this kind of clamp connected to the rubber band, so this will keep your bottle secure even in those bumpy roads, and you won't have a problem.
So here is the full list of all the components you need to build this expedition touring bicycle, and the total price is 850 euros. We looked up these prices on some online shops, but of course encourage you to support your local bike shop. Speaking of which, we have an offer for you from the shop that taught us how to build our wheels, and we haven't broken even one spoke on our 2 bicycles in 2 years, so they really know what they are doing. And that's Bus Shop in Helsinki. They have offered to build the exact wheels we are recommending in this video for 200 euros, including the parts and the wheel building. You can find the link to their web shop in the description. They ship internationally.
You might have noticed we did not choose any kind of a stand for this bicycle, but if you would like to have a stand, we highly recommend one of these click stands instead any central stand or a kickstand. These are really durable, and your bike will be incredibly stable in any kind of circumstances. We have used them for 2 years now and we are very happy. But if the price of it is expensive, you can use a bamboo. So you can cut it, let's say maybe this thickness is perfect. You can make it on the top a half circle like this one and wrap a rope around it and choose the right length according to your frame size, and then you're good to go. Also, an important point about the click stand or the bamboo or a wood, you need to engage both of your brakes with a bungee cord. If you would like to build a bicycle with a lower budget than 850 euros, we would recommend to use the same brake set, seat post, derailleurs, stem, which came with your bicycle, but of course you need to service those very well and make sure they work well. Also, you can cut the bike mechanic fee if you are prepared to do the wheel building yourself and other things which it needs to be done. You can borrow some tools from friend, or if you can use a community workshop if it's available around the place you live. With these ways you can bring the price down to 580 euro, which is a really good price, and this bike will do a very good job in the shorter tours, and especially if you are not going to the remote areas. If you decide to build the wheels yourself and these are the first wheels you are building, we highly recommend to use the wheels which came with your frame, to use those and disassemble all the parts, spokes, nipples, and put them together again, and do this many times. This will be a great practice for you before you start to build the wheels for your touring bike.
But if you would like to upgrade something, the first thing we would do would be to get some ergon grips so that you have a comfortable ride. You can also get ones with horns. Those are great. We use them ourselves. Also, you can get a new handlebar like a butterfly bar or an H bar. You can invest in a quality headset that will last you for many years. For example, from Chris King, which is the brand we use. And we didn't include any lights in the budget version, but if you want, you can get a front dynamo hub from Sun. The bearings are super, and the front and rear light, those are super bright and very durable.
And the last thing to upgrade can be your frame. We would recommend the Surely Troll frame and the Thor Nomad MK3 frame set. These are pretty versatile and durable frame. But if you do this, please make sure the parts you are getting are compatible with your new frame. For example, for sure, instead of threaded headset, you will need a threadless headset. These frames accept a pretty wide tires, so if you would like to use a wide tires, you can change your rims to Rude Underoff 4T rim. Building your own bicycle is really a fun project. We highly do recommend to do it, but you need to be patient and precise. Either way, if this is the first bicycle you are building, we highly recommend when you disassemble all the components from your frame, you again put the components back and make the bike to run smoothly. This will be a great practice for you for building your bicycle. But one small point here, while doing this, be careful about the threads so you won't damage the threads on your frame. Thanks for watching the video. We hope you find it useful.
And as always, a huge thanks to our patrons, everyone who has ordered a postcard or supported us on PayPal. Your support is what enables us to make these videos.
If you are new to our channel, make sure you check out our vlogs. We are cycling around the world for 10 years. We have at least 8 more years to go. So we might have passed through your country and you might find a vlog from your country, or if not, in the future you will.
So welcome to join our adventures here on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook under Nomads Trails. We also have a website, nomadstrails.com, where you can find useful information. Also, let us know what you thought of this video by giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and remember to subscribe to our channel to follow our adventures.
You can check out our Patreon, link is here.
And for some great low-budget inspiration, check out this video. We did an interview with Samuel, who cycled all across Europe and the Sahara on a bike he bought for 100 euros.
And here's a review video about our bicycles, which we have been cycling with them for last 2 years.
Greetings from the Corona lockdown here in the Gambia. Bye bye.
Bye bye.